Right. Hopefully this works. Cliffs of Dover is notoriously hard to get OBS to hook. I had to restart both the game and OBS about 2 or 3 times to get it to hook. I think it's hooked. I don't know. I guess if anyone appears in chat and tells me that they can't see the game, then we'll know, but here we go. I want to kind of get a bit of flying in this end. Since DCS is being a pain at the moment, I kind of want to go back and fly some Cliffs of Dover. There's a lot of things that this game kind of does better than DCS, and there's a few things that DCS does better. Before I unpause, I just do want to talk about the game a bit. So Cliffs of Dover came out, I think it was about 2011. It had been in development for a while. It was really quite anticipated by a lot of World War II simmers. It was a legitimate follow-on to IL-2 46. IL-2 at that point being the World War II sim. So there was a lot of hype and there was a lot of hope for the game, but when it got close to release, it became apparent that there was there were some issues with the development. I think there was some internal drama between the developer and the publisher and God knows who else. The game came out kind of broken. A lot of things didn't work properly. The performance was really rough. The UI was and still is kind of an arcane clusterfuck, kind of reminiscent of naval action when it was in alpha. But for its time, it was a really good-looking sim. The actual flying aspect of it is pretty good. Obviously, I mean, as you can probably tell from the setting, it is, and the name, it is a Battle of Britain sim. With some expansion to cover stuff over France and that, but it is primarily a Battle of Britain sim. The aircraft are very detailed. It is full, well, more or less full fidelity. The cockpits are clickable, so unlike the newer IL-2s, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they're full fidelity. This is. If I move my cursor around, you can see I can click stuff. I can't click everything, so you know, not all of the features of the aircraft are modeled, but a lot of them are. So you can actually see there my light switch, that's for the nav lights and so on. That isn't clickable, which is interesting because they are modeled. So there are certain things that you can click and certain things you do need to have bound up, but a lot of stuff is clickable. Which is nice to have. The flight models in this are certainly more in-depth than the old IL-246, which it followed on from. I don't know if I'd say they're at the same level as DCS. The Spitfire in this does seem a little more tame than the Spitfire in DCS, but it is a different mark of Spitfire. This is the Mark 1, whereas what we have in DCS is the Mark 9 with a different weight, different guns. The Mark 9 also has a longer nose with a bigger engine. Well, I say bigger, it's about the same size, but it's more powerful. The Merlin 66 is about 1.5 times as powerful as the Merlin in this Mark 1. So there's some differences. I'm not really eager to go on record as saying one or the other is more accurate, having never flown a Spitfire in real life, but this is certainly, it feels pretty Spitfire-ish. You know, the aircraft's very sensitive in pitch, not so much in roll, just like the real thing. She's a bit of a handful on the ground, although not as much as DCS, I've noticed. One thing with this is it, by default, tends to map things without curves. In fact, I don't think you can set up proper curves in this game. So my controls are just 1-to-1 at the moment, and my track IR is 2. So you'll notice I'm kind of violently moving my head around because the movement is much more responsive in this than it is in DCS. The track IR movement in DCS feels kind of sluggish, and with precision mode turned on in DCS, there's a very noticeable kind of lag to it, whereas in this, with precision mode on, it's pretty smooth. You know, it does still stutter very, very slightly, and you can see there's some tearing because of my graphics settings, but it is much smoother and also much quicker than DCS, so I'm going to have to get used to that again. The damage models in this game are on a level DCS can't even dream of. I was earlier watching a video someone recorded of them shooting a Wellington in a 109, and the Wellington's pneumatic system had been hit and the flaps were dropped. So the flaps on both wings were partially dropped and buffeting up and down in the wind because the pneumatic pressure was gone. Like, especially as far as the World War II aircraft go, DCS's damage models are kind of pathetic, to be honest. The Mustang's a little more advanced, but for instance, with the Spitfire, if I belly land that thing in DCS, my prop blades don't bend, they just disappear. If you hit someone with cannon fire in DCS, it can feel kind of underwhelming. You'll see some sparks and then maybe some, like, black holes appear on their wing. Like, the texture work in DCS isn't really that great. The damage models in this are very visual, and it's incredible. Other things you'll see is pieces of the skinning flapping in the breeze from a cannon shell hit where it's been blown open like a can of tuna. You'll also see, like I said, things like flaps and gear dropping due to loss of pressure in the hydraulic and pneumatic systems. The aircraft will very violently judder around when the engine's misfiring. So yeah, it is definitely damage model wise, like, just light years ahead of DCS. No module in DCS has a damage model as good as any of the aircraft in this game, and I will gladly say that. DCS really has kind of neglected that area for a very long time, and I'm hoping they do something about it soon. But anyway, without further ado, there's 9 Dorniers off the nose. We are 6 Spitfire Mark 1As on 100 octane fuel. So let's go start the party. Like I said, my controls aren't mapped with curves because I don't know how to do it in this game, if you even can. I had to reset all my controls before I started the stream because, for reasons best known only unto itself, Cliffsdover decided to reset all my settings totally, even though I haven't reinstalled the game or anything, and I last played it about 6 months ago. So I'm going to go ahead and hit P to unpause, turn my gun sight on.
One by one.
And off we go. Please do tell me if at any point you can only see the in-game briefing and map and stuff, because like I said, OBS does tend to hook the wrong window for this game, and I won't know unless someone tells me. Go around. Oh Jesus! Didn't even see him. Go around again. I gotta be real gentle on my rudder here, because without curves and with my messed up rudder pedals, I don't want to chance it. Since I am fighting bombers, I can probably come off the RPM a bit. We'll dial it back to about 2800. Don't want to overtax the engine. You can see why I prefer to pull my view back in DCS. This is the view I'm used to from flying so much IL-2. Whereas in DCS, you're like this up in the gun sight, and it really annoys me. Try and pick off this straggler here. I'll get nice and close. I have my gun convergence set to about 200 yards. I prefer to keep my convergence close because I like to get close before I open fire. Good hits. He's ditching his bombs. He'll be running for home if he even makes it. go around again for him. That straggler's got a spit on him, it looks like, so he's probably not going to make it. Now, I did try and check multiplayer to see if anyone was playing before I started the stream, but unfortunately, the server browser was totally empty, so I don't know if that means no one plays anymore, or just that it relies on GameSpy, so obviously with that gone, there's nothing to replace it. Okay, it looks like that guy's ditched his bombs and he's running for home as well. We'll stick with the main formation. That's one of my wingmen there. We've got 2 Dorniers that have peeled off there, I think, with a spit. There's another 2-3 Dorniers over there. We'll go for these 2. Of course, being a Spitfire Mark 1, I only have 8 303 Browning machine guns. No cannons, so it takes quite a few hits to really have much effect on these German bombers. But, again, I like to get close before opening fire, and with my convergence set at 200 yards, that's not as much of an issue. Oh god, please rudder. There we go. Set him on fire. The other guy's leaking something. Coolant, it looks like. One of my wingmen's on him as well. And I don't know if you can see it on the stream, but that glinting light coming off that Dornier, that is how you spot aircraft at long range in this game. DCS needs that badly. So even if this Dornier was so far away his dot is barely rendering on my screen, that glint would give him away, but only when the sun catches his wings. It's not a always on thing. I think it's actually based on where the aircraft is relative to the sun. That's my temperatures. Ooh, we're running a bit warm. Come off the power a little more. Well, come off the revs a bit more. We'll go back to about 2650. I think his gunners might be dead. Come around again. Sounds like a lot of my wingmen are starting to run dry on ammo. They're all RTV. Come up nice and slow underneath him. Oh, his belly gun is still up. A little unstable. The Spitfire is not a very steady gun platform. The Hurricane's much better for this kind of thing. You can see the holes peppering his top side there. He's been hit quite a few times. We will look back around. I'm in for another pass. I'm just going to squirt away at this guy till I run out of ammo. Now, one thing I keep forgetting to do is see if I can cage my gyro. You can tumble it very easily in this. Not so much when you're fighting against bombers because you're not maneuvering very aggressively, but when you get into dogfights with 109s, it's very, very easy to tumble the gyro, and then it's very easy to become lost. It happens to me a lot in this. See the clouds kind of pop in, much like DCS, which is a bit annoying, but what can you do? Spitfire doesn't bleed speed very well. We'll let him go home. I'm not sure he's even going to make it, to be honest. You can see the light glinting off his canopy there, off his nose. Good luck, buddy. Not sure where the rest of the formation is, or my wingmen for that matter. Go ahead and and switch the gun sight off for now until we find some more targets. Those are the spare bulbs for it there. Something that you badly need in DCS because the Spitz gun sight in that burns out constantly. My number 2 there, giving me some cover. Whoop, and there comes another wingman. Hey buddy. And again, you can see the clouds popping in and out of existence just because of the way that they're rendered. DCS does the same thing. I can't really think of any flight sims where that doesn't happen. I guess it's just an artifact of the way that clouds are rendered in a lot of games. They're kind of there or they're not. Instead of having like a gradual fade out distance, it's either in the render box or it's outside of it. So I guess that's something for developers to think about, assuming it doesn't mess with optimization too much. It is worth making there be like a fade out before things hit the end of the render box. Because it's really obnoxious with big objects like, you know, clouds. Okay, I'm going to come out of boost. Wingmen are still back there. They're trailing me by a little ways.
The commander. You must stop with me.
Just playing with my trim here, trying to get the aircraft to actually fly straight. You do have to play with the rudder trim in the Spitfire a lot. Same as DCS, which is very sensitive to it. There's somebody up there. I can't actually tell what he is. Might be another Dornier. How's my fuel? Good enough. I would imagine probably most, if not all, of that raid would have turned for home by now. They were popping an absolute pasting off of us, so... German bomber crews had a habit of just ditching their bombs and running when they were intercepted by large numbers of RAF fighters. Early in the Battle of Britain, the controllers at Fighter Command headquarters would usually send small packets of fighters up, you know, maybe 1 flight, 2 flights at a time, not even a full squadron. And it wasn't until towards the end of the battle, when the Germans had switched targets to London, that the big wing theory of Trafford-Lee-Mallory got put into place, and you started seeing mass formations of British interceptors. Unfortunately, it took a while to assemble that many aircraft in the air, and so often they weren't ready to attack the Germans until the Germans had already hit their targets, which is why Keith Park didn't like the idea, when the targets were his airfields. But once it switched to London, it really put the Germans on the back foot, because not only were they much deeper inside British airspace, and not only were they much closer to number 10 group, allowing a lot of their squadrons to come into play, but as well as that, obviously without the sustained airfield attacks, 11 group was a lot stronger, and the German escorts did not have the fuel to hang around over London. They had about 10 minutes combat time maximum, as opposed to, say, 20 or 30 minutes over the coastal airfields.
Commander, stay on course.
Now, according to the heading indicator, we are heading basically straight north, but I don't know if I trust it, because like I said, you can tumble the gyro very easily, and when you do, that thing can be as much as 180 degrees off. So add a touch more nose-up trim. The trim in this isn't nearly as finicky as in DCS, which I'm very grateful for. I'm not sure where my... Oh, there they are. My wingmen are behind me. Engine temps are looking good. Oil's about 88, 89 degrees. Water's just over boiling. But since the water's pressurized, it's not going to boil off. So, we are Gucci. One of the most obvious differences between this early Mark 1 cockpit and the Mark 9 we have in DCS is the placement of the armoured glass windscreen. On the Mark 1 through to the Mark 5, it's on the outside of the cockpit, and on the Mark 9 it's been brought inside, so you have much more obnoxious canopy framing inside the aircraft on the Mark 9. So we do still have the armoured glass, it's just not as prominent in the cockpit view. Now I'm not entirely sure where we are. Obviously we're over a coastal town. But I'm going to brake up and to the right, get some altitude and see if I can find an airfield. I might actually also... 6... no... 7...
Vector 60. Good route.
60, I think he said. It'd be nice if he just said 060 to be easy to hear him. I think that's an airfield there. I'm pretty sure I've landed at that one before, actually, on stream. It's quite a short runway. If I look at the map... how do I zoom the map in? Not like that. Ah, there we go. Entirely sure where we are. I think... this might be Bexhill and Hastings, maybe? No, because there's no airfield here. See, here we are. That's Shoreham. Okay, so we're over Shoreham. So this is Brighton off the nose. There we go. I've actually figured out where I am for once. Last time I flew over this area, I thought I was way further east. So how about we head up the coast a bit. We'll do a little tour. I don't care if that's our home airfield. We'll go a bit further up. Beautiful English countryside, even if it is a bit dreary out today. Typical English weather. I really miss living in the UK. There's the piers. You can see they've blown the pilings partway down, so the Germans couldn't use those to invade. The British didn't fuck around. When they were worried they were going to be invaded, they mined the beaches, they blew all the piers, and they often had observation posts and gun nests set up in them. So, it's Brighton right there. Brighton Pier. Got wingmen all around me. Fuel's still good. Temps are still good. We're getting a little warm oil-wise, but we should be good. Yeah, I do wonder if the safety on this is functional. I don't think it is. The safety on the early Spitfires, which just had this single thumb button for the trigger, is a like twist cap around the button. So you can see it says fire there. If I twisted it, like I think it's a quarter turn or a half turn to the side, it's unsafe. You can actually almost see the outline of where it says safe there. It's the head positioning in this is kind of weird.
The commander. Send information.
You form on me, buddy. You can also see right back the tail structure of the aircraft here, unlike DCS. So you can see if I can get my head around there. I'll be able to with the canopy open. But you can see all the electrical equipment and so on through the tail. The mirrors in this don't appear to work, unfortunately. I can toggle the mirror off, but I usually just leave it on even though it doesn't actually project an image. It's a shame because I do use the mirror a lot in other sims. I rely on it quite heavily in the Spitfire. much like the MiG-21. Now, I do wonder if I can tell these guys to RTB. I don't think I can. Maybe if I do that, it'll give them the hint. I don't know. See, the problem I have is quite often the AI wingmen will just stall themselves into the ground while I'm landing, because I don't know if there's any way to tell them to RTB. Pick up a bit more altitude here. We're coming up on Dover, just up ahead. Do a flyby of Dover Castle, place where I visited as a kid. Still got the old English heritage book we picked up there, showing a map of the site and all the interesting history of it. You'll be able to see the Dover radar station as well. Well, chain home station. Radar, as a term, hadn't been coined yet. A little lighthouse here and a nice little inlet. Given the age of the game, the terrain is actually really beautifully detailed, to the point where it's almost as good as the DCS Corpus 2.5. I mean, it took them long enough to get that out. This is a really underappreciated gem. And I think it is partly because it was so troubled on release. People just kind of gave up on it. It took a mod team getting hold of the game to actually fix a lot of its issues. Quite a few DCS regulars, like Phil Style, have come from Dover. He used to play this a lot. I don't know if he still does. There's quite a few old videos of him flying this with the number 54 Squadron boys back in the day on his YouTube channel. Uh-oh. Oh, that was close. I don't know what my wingman there is doing, but Jesus. Few UVW mapping issues here on the White Cliffs, but what a sight. I do have external views turned on. I didn't when I originally played this, but I do have them on now, so we might just do a quick peek at the outside of the aircraft once I get it trimmed to fly level. See the rad flaps fully open there, so it's quite a warm day out. I think that's Folkestone? No. Yes, maybe. Yeah, that's Folkestone. So Dover's up ahead. You can see the White Cliffs again up there. Actually, that's probably Hive. Folkestone's along here. Spent many days in Dover. We used to travel across to Europe basically every other weekend when I was a kid, so initially we got the ferry across, but after a couple of obnoxious English Channel crossings, because, you know, English Channel, sometimes it do be like that, we started taking the train, which was pretty awesome. Be in France in half an hour or less without getting seasick. I'm really hoping OBS has actually hooked the game window. I'm going to guess from the lack of people telling me in chat, and the lack of question marks, that it is actually working. I really hope so. Because I'd hate to have like an hour's worth of stream that's just nothing. Which has happened to me before. It's why I don't stream this game more often. It's just such a pain in the ass to set up. And there's no real way of knowing if it's working or not, unless you've got people in chat telling you. It's 2 in the morning in my time zone, so there's not really anyone I can rope into checking for me. So you see these cables here. The one that runs from that mast to the tip of the rudder is my radio antenna, and the cables that run from the sides of the fuselage out to the tailplane are the IFF antenna. So my IFF system runs through those. That's how you can tell if a Spitfire is equipped with one or not. At least these early war Spitfires. Now the IFF system on these is quite complex. There was a system called Pipsqueak, hey Trav, which basically piggybacked off the aircraft's radio. So you hear the pilot talking and then suddenly it gets interrupted because the Pipsqueak system is telling the control center back in Uxbridge, or I guess the sector control center and then Uxbridge, where the aircraft is. In the air, invisible. Oh, thank God. Yeah, it is such an absolute pain to make sure that this game works. It runs in like 2 or 3 separate windows, and OBS always just dives on the wrong one. You have to launch them in a specific sequence. You have to make sure you're in-game, in the air, and have the game tabbed in when OBS launches. Otherwise, it doesn't pick it up. And even then, it isn't a guaranteed thing. It's the edge of Folkestone now. So these aren't just the White Cliffs. This is literally the White Cliffs of Dover right here. Should be seeing the castle in a minute. Not sure what my wingmen are doing. I'm kind of worried after the last... Oh, no, we got one there. I'm slightly worried about that other guy. He seems to have a bit of an affinity for flying towards trees. Did I go past it? I may have misnavigated slightly. Just slightly. Okay, yeah, I did. That was Folkestone, I think. Because Dover has cliffs on both sides, and we'd be able to see the radar masts, if that was it. Unless I just didn't notice them. What's this? This is Isle 2, Cliffs of Dover. A very underappreciated sim. Okay, let me just double check my map again. Oh! Yeah, no, I'm an absolute 5-head. We started off all the way down Shoreham, so yeah, we're nowhere near Dover. We've still got to fly all this way up. I think flying jets and DCS has really warped my sense of how long it takes to get places in the air. If I was in a jet, yes, we would be in Dover by now. But, this right here, I would say, is the Romney Marshes. So that was Bexhill and Hastings we went past. This is the Romney Marshes. You can see the inlet there. Then we go past Hythe and Folkestone, then Dover. We'll get there in the end. VR? Oh god, no. I'm broke, my dude. It will be a very long time before I can afford VR. Still, desperately trying to save up enough to get a new SSD. The problem is, like, as you can see, I do have the scuffed computer aid fund, but at the moment, my finances are getting a little bit questionable. So, like, I am rationing myself. It's all good. I'm not gonna starve or anything, but at the same time, I think I have already dipped into that just to cover my electricity bills. Oh, does it support VR? Probably not. It's about 8 years old at this point. Yeah, that's definitely the Romney Marshes. So I will say I had a bit of a roller coaster.
Commander.
Well, not just today, but I've been on one for a while. But yeah, yesterday, it's 2 AM. Yesterday was a bit of a mindfuck for me, so I wasn't sure if I was going to stream. You may have noticed I also kind of skipped yesterday evening. But as it happens, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. Hey Jeff. If you're keen for some dogfights later, I'm totally down for it, but I do want to get some Cliffs of Dover in first. Since I've actually got it to behave itself today, at least so far. You'll notice how much easier this is to trim than DCS, because the trim increments are so much smaller. It is so much better. Another area this game is better. Like, this is the thing, there are aspects of Cliffs of Dover that aren't very good, but there's a lot of areas where DCS hasn't caught up and possibly never will. The damage models being one. What I might do after this flight is I might see if I can set up a scenario where it's just me, and then like a lone Dornier with no ammunition or something, so I can kind of pick away at him and show you what I mean. How much work to bind this to Warthog? Basically none, there's not a lot to bind. I had to rebind everything before the stream because it deleted my settings, so it took me like not even 10 minutes. Now, the one thing I will note is the dead zone controls are kind of, it's not set up well. It's not graphically mappable like it is in DCS. I don't think you can set up curves, at least not in-game. You might be able to do it through a text file or something. So I'm just using one-to-one curves at the moment, so everything's very sensitive. Yeah, Battle of Stalingrad is a much newer game. So IL-2's development is kind of convoluted. You have the original IL-2, which was done by Maddox, and I think a small team based around him. And that's, you know, your sort of classic World War II sim, which is still going strong. That was the World War II sim for about 10 years. Then this came out, and this had a lot of problems on launch, so Cliffs of Dover never really got the attention it deserved. It is a very good game now. Like, the guys that took over from the original development team, the modders that took over, put in a lot of work to finish this game, and it is really well done. And a lot of what was done in this game, like a lot of the ground unit stuff that they pioneered in this, then went into the new IL-2 games, but this was the original successor to IL-246. And then you had the spin-offs that Gaijin did, which was Birds of Prey and Wings of Prey, which were IL-2 in name only, basically. They were very sort of consoleized. And that's what led to War Thunder. War Thunder, in fact, for a long time was basically just multiplayer Birds of Prey. And it still reuses a lot of the assets from that game. And then, as far as the actual IL-2 series went, there was kind of a break in development after this. I guess while 1C tried to figure out what to do with the franchise. And that is when 777, who are 77777, who are the guys behind Rise of Flight, they picked up the franchise. So the new IL-2 series from Battle of Stalingrad forwards is done by the same guys that did Rise of Flight. Here we go. Now we're coming up to Dover.
Attention. Stop. Join the circuit.
There's the... Actually, no. I stand corrected again. I think we're still at Folkestone. Yeah, this is Folkestone, I'm pretty sure. That's Dover down the coast. We'll get there in the end. See the dockyards there? Like I said, the world map in this is really detailed. I would put this almost on par with Caucasus 2.5 from DCS. Fun fact, War Thunder was originally supposed to be an IL-2 title, changed last minute. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like I said, it does reuse basically most of Birds of Prey's assets. When it first came out, like when War Thunder was in closed beta, which is when I started playing it, you could tell it was the exact same game, just reworked into kind of a World of Tanks style thing, where, you know, you grind through tech trees and that. but it was still reusing a lot of the assets, which kind of cheesed me off, because Birds of Prey had a lot of problems with different aircraft. The Spitfire models were kind of weird, like they were proportioned wrong, and the texture worked, like... Not only was the flight side of things very arcadey, by comparison to IL-2, but like a lot of the artwork, you could tell they'd kind of phoned it in. It wasn't authentic. Here's Dover. Okay, for the last time, I'm right this time. This is Dover. I recognize it now. Been here many, many times, although it didn't look like this when I was there. You got the breakwater. And then we'll kind of hook in over the harbour towards Dover Castle, which is that big dark mass up on the cliffs there, and then the Chain Home Station. Dover was one of the main stations. The Luftwaffe knocked it out a few times, but it was usually back in action very quickly. There's the castle. Been there, done that. There's a pretty serious network of underground tunnels and bunkers under that. It's really cool to see in real life. So there's a Chain Home Station. The tall towers are the receivers, I think, and the smaller ones are the transmitters. That's for the high altitude radar. The low altitude stations are based at different places along the coast, and they look a little different. Obviously, the towers aren't quite as tall. So what I might do is kind of follow the coast up. We'll go past the deal, and maybe land at Manston or something. Actually, you know what? How much fuel have I got? I've still got quite a decent amount. So what I might do is I might just follow the coast until we hit the Thames estuary, and then follow that in towards London. Now, one of the things that is an issue in this game is the ground physics. You'll notice it once I'm landed and taxi and park. For reasons unbeknownst to me, everything handles like it's on ice. You slide around a lot. Like, I mean a lot. You don't stop moving. You can have the parking brake on, engine off, your plane is still very slowly moving around. I think it's because of the wind, and the friction isn't set up properly in this. You know, much like DCS, which has friction problems of its own. But I could be wrong. I don't know what causes it. All I know is you can very visibly see the aircraft sliding around. Now, actually, I wonder if this works. No. Okay, so we can't bring down the little shader for when we're flying at night to stop the gear indicator light from blinding us. Something that works in DCS but doesn't here. I'm not going to go under the pier. I don't want to risk it. I don't know if the collision model is that detailed, but we'll go over it. It just kind of abruptly ends there. So it's not without problems as far as the world goes, but still, it's pretty detailed for a 2011 title. So that was, I think that was Deal? Yeah, that would have been Deal. So we're coming up on Sandwich off the nose. We'll go over Ramsgate, up to Margate, and then in the estuary. See if we can spot Del Boy and the Jolly Boys while we're over Margate. Volunteered in the Air Museum and had to tie down everything. These are so light and have so much lift they would move with even a small 5-knot wind. Yeah, I mean, the Spitfire Mark 1 is, I think, like 5,000 pounds fully loaded, I think. I'd have to check in my big book of Spitfires. I might actually do that later on in the stream, but it is a very light aircraft. So there's Ramsgate here. War Thunder players will probably recognise this area of the English coast, because one of the air domination maps is set here. Still got a decent amount of fuel. I think we drained the top tank, we're in the bottom tank now. Pick up a little bit of altitude too, I think. Friend of mine back home, he lives in Calgary. We met online. We were both part of the same Halo modding community way back in our teens. So I've known him for over 10 years now. He was, I think he was in the Air Force Cadets or something. But he was kind of real enthusiastic about how easy it is to land a Cessna in a field, and he's like, oh, well, you know, how hard can it be to crash land one of these warbirds in a paddock? Like, it's a bit different. You're going slightly faster than the Cessna, and you don't quite have the sturdy landing gear. If you want to put one of these down with no engine in a field, you do it with the wheels up. You never drop the landing gear unless you're on an actual prepared surface in an old warbird, because they're quite nose heavy. They will flip end over end very easily, and the landing gear legs are not the sturdiest thing on earth. Same as when I see Pom try and land in a field in DCS and I see him drop the gear, I just like, oh, what are you doing? It's a bad habit. I gotta try and get him out of it, because every time it backfires. Never, never, never emergency land with the gear down in an aircraft with a retractable undercarriage, ever. There's Margate, right there. Your seaside resort, if you happen to live in the East End. That's about as seaside resort as you're ever going to see. We've already passed over the Brighton piers earlier in the flight. Not actually in the estuary proper yet. We're kind of got a ways to go. It's quite a long way actually into London. I'm not sure if I'm going to have the fuel to go over the city, but we'll certainly get part way up the river. What's your mission? I had to intercept a flight of 9 Dornier 17s. It was just, it's like a quick mission I threw together, so Isaiah started near them. Just to save on dealing with actually flying to the intercept. I've already shot down, I think I bagged 2 or 3 of them, I'm not entirely sure. Probably 1 or 2 didn't make it home. A number of them just dropped their bombs in the water and ran. Such is life when you're a Dornier and you don't have a fighter escort. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. The hard part of landing in this is once you're on the ground handling, because it's a tail dragger and because of the narrow track undercarriage and just the way the Spitfire is balanced, she's very squirrely on the ground, and this is most noticeable in DCS. The reason I have so much trouble with the ground handling in the Spitfire and DCS is because even in this, it's much more tame. It's still difficult, but it's tame compared to DCS. Again, I don't really want to theorize on which is more accurate, because I've never flown a Spitfire in real life, and I sadly don't think I ever will. I'd love to, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, but the actual landing's not that difficult. You know, you kind of have to fly a curved approach in the Spitfire because of the long nose. It's very difficult to see over it. But you come in a nice curved approach over the fence at about 80-100 miles an hour and just 3-pointer. You can do a 2-point landing. RAF sort of standard was a 3-point landing. Funnily enough, my first real-life landing was a 3-point landing, unintentionally, in a nose-wheel aircraft, so... Oops. It wasn't a bad landing. I mean, I'm surprised how smooth it was, but I didn't mean to 3-point it, and I probably wasn't supposed to. I want to get back in the air again. I just gotta... Life at the moment is a clusterfuck, so I need to probably spend some more time unfucking myself before I can really get back out there and fly. I mean, flying for me is stress relief. When I'm in the air, that's about the one time I can think clearly and I feel safe and comfortable. But at the same time, if I'm distracted thinking about real-life bullshit and I'm in the air, it's not good. A couple times I have forgotten fairly important things in the landing approach, like having the carb heat on or making sure the aircraft was trimmed properly, because I was so hung up on something that happened during my day. It really kills me too, because it's midwinter right now here, and this is the perfect weather for flying. Like, if you go out in the morning here, there's no thermals, the air is so still, you can just take your hands off the controls and let the aircraft fly itself. You could almost go to sleep. I mean, don't, but you could almost go to sleep, and the aircraft would just fly itself for hours. It's beautiful. It's so tranquil. It's been almost 2 years, actually, since I last flew. The time really got away from me. I was kind of hoping to be back in the air much sooner than this. I was so close to getting my license, too. So, I think I got about 50 hours under my belt. About 50, maybe a bit over. My logbook's down at the flying club, so I'd have to go check. But it's probably going to take me at least another 20 or 30 to get back up to where I was. I mean, perfect weather for flying, Jeff, is in the air is still and there's no thermals coming off the roads. Summer here is like flying into a washing machine. It's just... I mean, flying for me is never really unpleasant, it just gets challenging, but flying here in summer is fucking challenging. You have to be on your A game, or the aircraft gets away from you. Like, it is really... It jolts you around. It's difficult to land, because the main runway here at Bathurst is about probably 300 to 500 meters off the main runway threshold, 3.5. You have a major road, and the thermals that come off that are just wicked in the summer. So, in the light aircraft I fly, if you come over that and it's a hot day, the aircraft just says, "Nah, bro, nah, we ain't going down, we yeetin'," and it just goes up. And then once you pass over the edge of the thermal, you just drop like a stone. You know, you go from a climb through about 1,000 feet per minute descent rate. It's just... it'll catch you if you're not paying attention. And it does tend to be quite windy as well. It's either hot and still and you get really nasty thermals off things, or it's really windy. Whereas during the winter, you do get wind some days. Like, it can be quite unpleasant during the winter weather-wise, but on those nice, calm, still days, it's beautiful. It really is. There's nothing like it. How are we for fuel? Oh, we're getting a little low, but the warning lamp hasn't come on yet. So we are now passing Eastchurch. So Eastchurch Aerodrome is somewhere over there behind us. Can't quite see it, I'm too low. And now we're coming up on the Thames Estuary. Now, what I should do at some point, not this flight because I just don't have the fuel and I don't know exactly where they are, but I'd really like to see if they've modelled the Red Sands flak towers in this game. So, a lot of people don't really know about this, but the British built offshore, basically offshore flak towers. There's a couple around here and there's a few up in the North Sea. The North Sea ones are a different design. Sealand, if you've ever heard of it, is one of the North Sea ones. The Red Sands towers are a bit different. They were used as pirate radio stations after the war. They're still there. They're in a very bad state, but they're still there, and it's really an interesting sight. I think it's like 6 or 8 towers all arrayed out around each other, and there used to be catwalks between them, but they've deteriorated quite badly. out, I think it's a couple miles offshore in the Thames estuary, so they'd be out that away somewhere. So we've got Southend across the estuary. I'll just follow the river for a bit. I probably should check. Okay, depending on the fuel situation, I can go for Hornchurch or North Weald or Biggin, probably. Bad lag spikes. Oof. Yeah, I get that a lot. I have noticed that Twitch has a bad habit of giving itself the lowest possible priority when it comes to video buffering. So if I've got something open in YouTube paused in the background, Twitch will just buffer to shit and back because it's trying to load the YouTube video first. It's kind of annoying. Hey Max. The Spitfire stick donuts can go to hell. That's such a bad idea. It was a pretty common design in the period though. Most RAF fighters at the time had spade grips or donut grips. A lot of the Soviet fighters did as well. Most of the Yaps had spade grips. I think really the only ones with actual flight sticks were the Americans and the Germans, and the Americans didn't even universally have them. Who the fuck put a fucking wheel in the P-38? You don't put wheels in fucking fighters. Like, that's why the Mosquito didn't have one. The Mosquito had a fucking proper, I think it had like a donut from memory, or a spade grip, because the Mosquito was designed like a fighter. Even the Vulcan bomber in the Cold War had a flight stick because it handled like a fighter for its size anyway. It's the difference between the stick and the wheel. The wheel is for driving a bus with wings. The stick is for flying a fighter. It's just the way you handle it's different. I prefer sticks. I just cannot get my head around wheels for flying an aircraft. Wheels are something for a car in my mind. Yoke, yeah, that's. I knew there was a word. I couldn't remember it because it's 2 AM. Well, 2:30. But yeah, yokes for aircraft don't sit well with me. So both of the aircraft I've flown in real life, the Jabiru and the Bristol, the Jabiru has like a U-shaped... It's actually a really interesting arrangement. So the Jabiru is side-by-side sitting, right? So is the Bristol. The Jabiru stick is actually in the middle between the two seats, and you can tilt it one way or the other. So it's actually like on a canned arm, that I can pull the stick over to my side and then fly with it. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen the stick of the HE-219, the German night fighter. It's very similar. It's like a very U-shaped stick, so each person can grip one side of the stick for flight instructions, so you can kind of follow through with the piloting command. That's how I got the feel of the aircraft. Was my instructor, Matt, was flying it at first, and then he had me hold the stick, and then he just let go of it and let me fly. The Bristol, on the other hand, this is something I don't like about the Bristol. The piloting command seat is a left-handed stick and right-handed throttle, and that is backwards as fuck to me. I prefer a right-handed stick or a center stick. I really don't like having a left-hand stick because it's just unnatural. I am somewhat ambidextrous, but I'm so used to using my right hand for everything that it's kind of worn off. I prefer to have a right-handed stick in an aircraft. Benefit of the yokes has a bigger mechanical advantage, it can move bigger control surfaces. That's true. But then again, like I said, the Mosquito didn't have a yoke, and the Mosquito got along just fine, and it was a much bigger aircraft with much bigger control surfaces than the P-38, so... Mind you, I don't know if the Mosquito had as big of a problem with compressibility as the P-38 did, because I know that was a serious problem with the P-38, one of its few shortcomings. So we are following the Thames, kind of, sort of. I think this is the Thames. It could be the Medway. I wasn't paying attention. Actually, judging by the size of it, it might be the Medway. The Thames should be a bit wider than that, I think. Not sure. Actually, no, I think it is. That should be Gravesend there. So Hornchurch should be off the nose if this is the Thames River. It's really hard to tell. We'll know when we find London either way. There's no missing London. You don't have gradual zoom like you do in DCS here. It's kind of all or nothing. Yeah, okay, I'm going to assume this is the Thames. Oh, fuel is not looking real good. Where's an airfield? I went through that a lot faster than I expected to. I thought that would last me a lot longer. We may end up in a farmer's paddock. Oh, praise be, there's an airfield right there. Not sure what the wind is doing. We're going to just have to pick a runway. Carriage. More back trim, a little more power. More power. Probably a little lower than I should be here. Flaps. A lot of trim there to counter the nose down. The flaps on this really do bump the nose downwards, much like DCS, you've got to be ready for it. Okay, coming in over the fence at about 100 miles per hour. Whoops-a-daisy. Whoa, Jesus. Oh, overdid the brakes. Really overdid the brakes. They're really sensitive in this, much more than DCS. Oopsie daisies. So that's a write-off. I actually have a photo of one of the first Spitfires delivered to the RAF, number 19 Squadron at Duxford, in this exact position because of about the same thing. The pilot overdid the braking on landing. It's very easy to do. Very, very easy to do. I'll get used to it once I get back into flying this. Okay, let's go exit. We'll see how we did. Actually, that wasn't too bad of a flip. That might not have been a write-off. But she would have been in the hangar for a long time. 32% accuracy, that's about normal for me. 4 Dorniers were downed. 2 of them solely by me. I have a... that would probably be counted as a half share in another, and then like a partial share in another. So there we go. And 1 damaged that made it back. We lost all 5 of our wingmen, and I can tell you exactly why. They probably flew into terrain. The AI wingmen are kind of really stupid. And particularly while you're setting up on a landing approach, if they're still with you, they will just stall out and crash. I don't know if there's any way to get around that. Does this have multiplayer? It does. I don't know if anyone still plays it. The server browser either doesn't work or there's no servers up. I can't tell. I know a lot of people did used to play it a couple of years ago. Phil Style from DCS, him and the number 54 Squadron boys used to play it. Phil's got a lot of videos up on his channel of him playing it in multiplayer. If you trawl through some of his older stuff. Here we go. Bomber Intercept London. Let's try this one. Now, I think this is the Spitfire 1A. I prefer to fly the 1A just because it has a constant speed prop. Okay, it wasn't. Now it is. We got 9 Heinkel's. They don't have an escort though. Well, I guess we'll rationalize this as the 109's already ran out of fuel and had to turn for home. So let's hit flight. Tell me if this goes to the game window. It won't yet, but tell me if you see me flying here in a minute. Okay. You can set your tail number, which in RAF aircraft corresponds to the letter of the alphabet for the aircraft. Squadron code, I can't set on this mission, but you know, you can for different things. I don't actually know what these do. I think these colors here for the 109s, it doesn't appear to change anything on the Spit. And you can even set your own serial number. So I just picked a random number in the serial range for a Spitfire Mark 1A. So high K9s. So you can see here, you can also set the amount of wear on the aircraft. I tend to just go with, on the Spitfire, the maximum amount of weathering looks about normal. On the Hurricane looks like it's been beat to shit and back on max weathering, so I tend to turn it down a bit. You can also go to loadout, and here you can set your fuel. If we had any pylons, this is where we could set them up. Guns, you can set each gun's individual ammo belt and convergence. Where is this in DCS? Like, I can change belts. If I wanted to set up all my guns to be tracer, I could do it. If I want to set up full incendiary, I could do it. If I want to set up the outboard guns to be tracer, and then the 2 inboard from, or the 4 inboard from that to be armor piercing, and then the 2 most inboard guns to be incendiary, I could do it. If I wanted to have fucking 8 different colors of tracer, I could do it. Like, I could legitimately go through and set each gun a different color of tracer because you can set them all individually. And your horizontal and vertical convergence. Bombs is grayed out because the Spitfire Mark 1 doesn't have any pylons. So yeah, and you can see the selection of ammunition. Ball ammo of different types. Magazine rifle. That's rifle ammo for the Lee Enfield. So that's your real, oh shit, we've run out kind of ammo. You've got the actual cordite stuff for the aircraft, so Mark 6 and 7. Oh, we're already scrolled all the way down. Tracer, infantry tracer, long range, naval tracer, aircraft night dim tracer, armor piercing, incendiary tracer, incendiary dewild, so you can get all the real fancy experimental incendiary and explosive ammo. Observer, which is, I think, your explosive 303. That's the fun shit. I want some of that for my rifle, but I'm pretty sure it's either illegal or like impossible to find here. Probably both, to be fair. That's stuff if you can get your hands on it. The Observer stuff. For the Germans, it's Bigeschoss. For the, or is it, no, sorry, Bipatron, that's it, Bipatron. For the Soviets, it's PZ, I think it is. PZ for the Mosin, is the explosive machine gun spotting rounds. It's got like a little internal striker and explosive filler in the bullet. The snipers used to like it on the Eastern Front because it will fuck you up. Like, it will, that shit's legit scary. I've seen what it does. It's not pleasant, but it was originally intended for aircraft for spotting machine gun rounds. Okay, we're set up pretty much good enough. I think on this setting I've got tracer on my outboard guns. I'm not sure. So here's the moment of truth. Tell me if you can see the aircraft.
Attention. Attack. Orders. Spread out.
Yep, okay, excellent. We just flew over the hindquarters.
One by one.
See the ACAC going for them. You can hear the engine just chop there from the negative G. Whoop, bit high. Bit low. He's burning. We'll break off. And we'll go over the top. I don't know which airfield that is. Might be North Weald, or it could be name isn't coming to me. Hornchurch, that's it. I'm not sure which. Actually, that's the Thames, so that's probably North Weald, or Biggin. Actually, that's probably Biggin Hill. We've got a straggler, we'll go for him. He's leaking something. Oil and coolant, it looks like. Come around again. Track IR's a little bit sensitive in this game. There he is. He's got another spit on him from the looks of it. It's very easy to lose sight of the main formation. They get that far away from you that quickly, but you can just see them against the clouds there, maybe. The spotting in this is so much better than DCS. Aircraft take much further to fade out of view, and when they are out of view, you can still catch a glimpse of light off the cockpit glass and off the wings, which in the start of the stream, if you go back and watch the VOD for you guys that turned up after, you'll be able to see it very clearly. One of the Dorniers I flew past glinted. Oh, he's got an engine out. Good luck, buddy. We'll leave him alone. We'll go for the main formation. He would have ditched his bombs, so he's not a threat anymore. A bomber that has jettisoned its bombs and is running for home is as good as a bomber that's shot down, to be quite honest, when you're defending something. The point is to stop them from getting to their target, or stop them from hitting it. It is not necessarily to kill them, which was a big sort of sticking point between Keith Park and Trafford Lee Mallory. Lee Mallory wanted to destroy the bombers in large numbers. Park realised that as long as the target was his airfields, 11 group airfields, the point was to stop the bombers from hitting the target. It didn't matter if they were actually downed or not. Unfortunately, Keith Park and indeed Hugh Dowding, got absolutely shafted after the Battle of Britain by the Air Ministry, and Lee Mallory ended up in a position of power when really Park and Dowding didn't get the recognition they deserved until well after the war. The Dowding system is the basis of a modern integrated air defense system. It is what the Soviets worked off of after the Second World War. Uh-oh. I don't know what just happened there, but she's not happy. I think the constant speed unit may have shit the bed. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, we're overspeeding. The constant speed unit's cracked out. That's exactly what it was. Got to keep the engine below 3,000 revs or we're in trouble. So I'm flying purely on the throttle now. The prop set itself to fine.
I'm all out. Commander. Fire. That's friendly.
This is why Tawny has trouble with the Warbirds in DCS, by the way. He overspeeds the fucking engine like you wouldn't believe. He throttle wanks like it's a modern jet. I've tried telling him that, but I'm hoping in the end he decides that he does want to take the time to learn the Warbirds, because they're a lot of fun. And he's a lot of fun to fly against. I think he has the fundamentals from flying the Tomcat, he just has to work on not abusing the fuck out of 1940s piston engines. They don't have the throttle response to keep up with that kind of throttle wank. Okay, we're going to go up, so we're going to put power back on. See, I've got my pitch selector set to fully course, but she's not responding. Put some more power on. See, we're not even into combat power boost-wise, but we're already at the 3,000 RPM, which is our maximum rated power. Not sure why the constant speed unit crapped out, if it was hit by something, or if it just was a random failure. It happens sometimes. But we can still fly, we just got to be really careful about the engine.
Altitude 5.5.
It's also not having a great effect on my airspeed, because I think it has set itself to fully fine, or at least close to fully fine, so we don't have much tracted power in the air at the moment.
Attention, enemy sector, Charlie. Altitude, Angel, 3.5.
It's a sad day when you're struggling to catch up to a hindquarter. Running a little warm, not enough to worry about yet, but I've got to keep an eye on the temperatures as well. Not enough lead there, I don't think.
The commander. Much closer. Attention, enemy sector, Charlie.
Okay, we are closing the range now. His little defensive maneuvers are actually working against him. He's throwing that thing around. He really is. I'm impressed. Oh no, come on. Bit of rudder. And we're out. Good luck, buddy. Oh, we're a little oversped. Off the power. Yeah, the constant speed unit basically saves you a lot of work in that it manually, or sorry, you previously manually had to change your prop pitch to regulate the engine's revs, whereas with a constant speed unit it automatically does it. It isn't instant though, and this is the thing, this is the other problem with throttle wanking like Tawny and not just him but other people as well do with the Warbirds when they first start flying them, is that it takes time to catch up. It's an old system. It's I think it's run off the hydraulic pressure coming through. And it takes time for the blades to catch up. And so if you ran the throttle forwards into full power, not only is that straining the engine to catch up, but the constant speed unit's also trying to catch up. So you're going to overspeed the engine by, 500, 1,000 RPM while it catches up and then sets the blades to the appropriate pitch. Yeah, I wish DCS World War II was more, honestly, more complete, let alone more popular. There's a lot of stuff missing. Like, as I was saying earlier, this game is so much better in terms of damage model. Like, DCS can't compete with even the modern modules, let alone the Second World War modules. It's just... Like, when I was flying the Spitfire against you and I fly it against Tawny, I just see sparks fly off you and then maybe a piece of your plane falls off, or maybe I can see some black holes on your wing. In this, the damage is very visceral. If I took a cannon shell in my left wing, I would see the skinning blown away and pieces of the aircraft structure through it. If I get stitched by a bomber's machine gun, I'll see a line of bullets up the wing. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the damage is actually localized to where it takes place, or if it just seems to be because it's so well done. But it really does seem to be localized to where it happens. And again, as I was saying earlier in the stream, this is so detailed that I posted a video in Discord of it. I watched a guy come up behind a Wellington in a 109, and he'd shot out the pneumatic lines in the Wellington, so the pressure had gone out of the pneumatic system, which powers the flaps, and the flaps had dropped under gravity, except the air resistance was pushing them back up, so you could see the flaps just kind of doing this under the wings. It was really something. Alright, we're going to come off the power a bit more. And we'll do a bit of a fly around London, since I am both out of ammo and too damaged to fly any further combat anyway. Do a quick external view while we're at it. As you can see, the rad flap's fully open. It's a warm day outside. There's my flight. Also likely to drop a wing, pulling enough G's with engine torque. Yeah, really. You don't really get the roll so much in the Spitfire and DCS, but you do get a very pronounced yaw with the changes in power. Of course, the Spitfire, at least not until the Mark 22 with the new wing, didn't have adjustable aileron trim. It was done at the factory with a giant tuning fork and a mallet, which I have photos of in my big book of Spitfires. Alright, we got some merchant shipping there in the docks. So, bring up the map. We're not actually in London proper yet. That was probably actually Gravesend we were over, so Hornchurch should be somewhere over there. I think that we're... Where are we? Actually, yeah, that probably is West Ham. It's so weird seeing this area of London without any high-rise. Like, London today looks so much different to what it looked like when I was a kid. But this is even more drastic, as you might imagine. Just look for some landmarks that I do recognise. Yeah. Okay. So we're coming into the city now. Stepney up ahead. You can see the outline of the docks here. So Deptford's off the left wing. Stepney's off the nose. Unlike DCS, unfortunately, the cursor on this doesn't disappear, so it does get a bit annoying. There's Tower Bridge and the Houses of Parliament. So at least there's a landmark we all recognise, which hasn't changed in a very long time, and hopefully never will. Let's go through Tower Bridge. Not under it, because I don't want to test my luck too much, but we'll go through it. Oh, sorry, that's the Tower of London, man. Parliament's a bit further down, I keep forgetting. Been a long time since I've seen London in person, unfortunately. I miss it so much. There's Parliament, there's Big Ben. I always forget how much distance there is between Parliament and Tower Bridge. Someone just passed over me. There's Nelson's Column. Right there, my 1 o'clock. Just about brings a tear to the old eye. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's Nelson's Column, I think, and then there's Buckingham Palace right there. Now,
Commander, stay on course.
is that St. Paul's? I think that's St. Paul's. It's in shadow now, so we'll head back over there. Still got heaps of fuel. Gotta watch my revs. Yeah, that's Nelson's Column there. And that is... what's that? No, that's not St. Paul's. That's, I forget what that is. My London geography is that bad, I can't even remember what that building is. For shame. St. Paul's. I know it's around here somewhere. And I know it's on this side of the river. Or I'm pretty sure it's on this side of the river. Could have sworn it was near Tower Bridge as well. Yeah, it's Tower of London, Tower Bridge. It's kind of throwing me off too. Like, a lot of my... because my memory is quite good for geography, but it's based on landmarks. I navigate by landmarks. And so because a lot of the higher rise buildings are missing... Oh, hello, what's that? Gasworks or something. Because it's missing a lot of the high-rise buildings that I'm used to from my childhood, I'm having trouble remembering where stuff is. Like, Guy's Hospital should be, like, there somewhere, I think?
Much closer. Hard to see.
And that's a very, very visible tower. Yeah, I swear, where the fuck is St. Paul's? It's got to be around here somewhere. Like, unless it's not modelled in the game, but then again, everything else is, so it should be. Yeah, look, there's Nelson's Column. They got the fountains in, so where the fuck is St. Paul's? I'm blind, I guess. Maybe I just can't see it. That's Battersea Power Station by the looks of it down there. More battery, she's descending a little. Hang on. No, that's not Battersea. It's a factory. Where's Battersea? It should be a bit further down, I think. This way. I've done this flight in FSX a few times, which has more of the modern buildings. They're not all there though, and the terrain in FSX is kind of fucked. Like there's random bits of the Thames that just aren't there. Where is Battersea Power Station? I'm sure it's in game, but maybe not. I know it's right on the banks of the Thames. And I know it's west of the city centre. Track IR's a little janky. There we go. Like I said, the track IR is very sensitive in this. Everything is very sensitive in this. I kind of wish it was more like this in DCS, actually. Like, even with precision mode turned on, I can still get quite rapid head movement without it being unmanageable. I will try and land properly this flight, by the way, without nosing over again. That was embarrassing. I assure you I can do it. It's just been a while since I played this, and the brakes in this are so much more sensitive than DCS. They seem to have a lot more effect. Okay, well I guess Battersea isn't level. I could have sworn it was, unless... Is that just another random factory? Yeah, no, I don't think it is, which is interesting. It's like they played pick and choose with all the landmarks to put in, because I can't find Battersea and I can't find St Paul's, which are like two of the most iconic landmarks in London. We've got Buckingham Palace, the Houses of Parliament, Big Ben, we've got Tower Bridge, Tower of London, but no Battersea and no St Paul's. We've got a couple of train stations too, although they're not really that detailed. Yeah, it's not this far west, I know that much. Nice little windmill down there. Heading out towards Heathrow now. Is that? I think that's just waste ground. Yeah, that's not an airfield. Making me want to do a visit to London again. I know, right? I miss London so much. I haven't been back to Europe since we moved here 22 years ago, and it kills me, man. I really miss Europe, and I really, really miss the UK. Given recent developments and my particular circumstances, I don't think I could live in the UK again unless there's a serious change in government. Australia is trying to make me hate my life, but it's not quite as bad as things are getting in the UK at the moment, from what my friends have been telling me. Like, I would have to be a lot more well off before I'd think about moving back there, but I do miss it so badly. I really loved living there. I never wanted to move here. If it had been up to me, we would never have left England in the first place. We would have stayed there. And I think I'd be a lot happier today if we had, to be honest. I mean, I can't blame my parents, but... Unfortunately, it took them a few years to realise they felt the same way, and by that point we were already stuck out here, so... Such is life, I guess. That's an airfield, I'm pretty sure. Or, is it? No, waste ground. Debated again. There has to be one around here somewhere. There's that many of them around London. I mean, actually, is that an airfield? That looks like a runway to me. Yeah, that's a fucking runway. Oh, I wonder if that might be one of the aircraft factories. A lot of them had airfields attached, you know, for obvious reasons. Test the aircraft and fly them out for delivery. Now, again, my wingmen are probably going to kill themselves as I try and land here, but we'll... Oh, no, there's one right off the nose. Looks like a fairly major one, too. Okay. Power to clear the trees. I've come in too low and too slow. That's alright. cleared the road at least. I'm trying to land, dude. Fuck off. And there goes my wingmen. Like I said, absolute geniuses. I'm just very gently caressing the brakes here. Very gently. You can also... I can't remember the control for it, but you can also open that side hatch, I think. It's like Control J or something. Usual procedure was to have the lock here on half cock for landing, just in case you needed to make a hurried exit. Control J ain't doing it. Shift J ain't doing it. I know there's a way to open it, I just can't remember what it is. Okay. So that doesn't actually work. That's the cutoff. Slow running cutoff. But we can turn the fuel cock off, turn the magnetos off, and there we go. That's not my pedals, Jeff. That's my pinky switch on my stick, which is my brake lever. See? Brake pressure goes up when I pull it. That's why when I taxi the MiG-21, you can hear a lot of squeaking, because I'm constantly using the brakes to steer. You can tell that I come from like a World War II British and Cold War Soviet flying sort of background sim-wise, because that is what I always map to my brake lever if I have one. A lot of the American aircraft in DCS don't, so I just use toe brakes for them, but yeah, I do. I mean, it's not hurting anything. I probably do need to put some on it though, just so it's not obnoxiously noisy, since it is right next to my mic. But yeah, so there you go. There's the Spitfire. Landed safely this time, even if it wasn't a very pretty landing. Rest in peace, wingmen. If only you knew how to land without killing yourselves. Maybe one day you'll learn. Whoops. Let's actually see if we can... There's my aircraft. And you can also see how the gun ports have blown off the fabric covers from firing. Like in DCS. The DCS Spit also does that. Oh, what I can... well, no, I probably can't show you since the CSU shit itself. No, it's working. Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to cockpit view. Fully fine. Fully course. Fully fine. Fully course. Eat your heart out, DCS. DCS doesn't fucking do this, at least not for the Spitfire. I don't know if it does for the Mustang. Also, these blades will... actually, this is a wooden propeller, so these will snap off if you hit the ground, but the metal blades on the props will bend as well. Again, in DCS, the Spit blades in that just disappear when they're damaged, which is... like I said, DCS damage model not very good. Let's see who else we got here. Shift F2 is for friendlies. Oh, there we go. We got one wingman who's just doing his own thing. The only one smart enough to not kill himself. And that's it. Everyone else died. And then old mate belly landed somewhere. Wait, did he explode as well? Can't see him. Unfortunately, there's no, or at least I haven't found it yet, there's no mouse control to do the external views, which is really annoying. I have to use my tracker to do it. I prefer to use the mouse for external views. There might be a way, but I haven't figured it out yet. Let's see if we can spectate some Germans. Oh, there's one Heinkel. He had a bit of a whoopsie. Looks like he stripped his wings off trying to land in those trees. But the cockpit looks like they busted out of it. Oh wow, we caught him in the process of crash landing. Just shy of some trees. That was lucky. You might want to get out, guy. You're leaking stuff. Probably fuel. One's still flying here. Got some damage on his aileron there and he's leaking some fuel. Another one with one engine stopped. See it trailing oil. You can see the differing levels of wear on the aircraft too. It's randomized. And I think we're back to... Yeah, jeez. Not many survivors from that raid. And as you can see, like DCS, there is an issue where the ground doesn't load in right away. Like DCS, this is being run on a hard drive. If this was on a SSD, that probably wouldn't be an issue. 2 exploded, 1 cartwheeled. Yeah. Oh, he cartwheeled. I saw him touch down, but then I was kind of more paying attention to whether I nosed over or not. So yeah. Well then, I'd consider that a success. We'll just ignore what the wingmen did. That's not my problem, that's theirs. You can also see how the Spitfire cockpit's laid out here. The undercarriage selector is on the right-hand side, so when you take off, I can't really show you since my HOTAS setup's pushed forwards where the camera can't see it, but you have to go from the throttle with your left hand to the stick, to the undercarriage, and then back again, which is a bit of a handful, but I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. On the Mark 1A here, we do have the actual hydraulic undercarriage, the automatic hydraulic undercarriage pressurized off the engine. The early Mark 1s, it was hand pumped, so that was a real fun thing to have to do. You would have to actually pump it. There is an emergency system, which is, I believe, carbon dioxide to blow the wheels down. Okay, we will see what we did. 23% accuracy. My shooting wasn't as good that time. I shot down 1 hindcall. That was probably the guy I set on fire, and then I have roughly half shares in another 2. 2 damaged, but made it back. One of which was purely by me almost, the other one was shared with my wingman, and then the 4 geniuses that flew themselves into the ground. Only one was smart enough not to do that. So let's see what else we can do. You know what? Let's do one in the Hurricane. Do I dare do a dogfight in the... Actually, let's fuck with some Stukas maybe. Yeah, let's fuck with some Stukas. And then I might take the Spit up against some 109s as well. Or I might even fly the 109. The 109 is not my comfort zone. Put it that way. Okay, Hurricane 1. That's the Night Fighter variant. Rotol prop. So these are the different variants. So you've got, I don't know what Heartbreaker is. I think it's like some special aircraft. Like, I don't know what the deal with that is. You got your Hurricane 1 with the de Havilland 5-20 prop, 100 octane fuel, 5-20 with 87 octane fuel, Rotol prop with 100, and Rotol with just 87. So we'll go with Rotol prop and 100 octane. I think the de Havilland prop is the manually pitch selected one. So what that is it's a cable with like a little knob in the, at least in the Spitfire, it's in the lower left portion of the cockpit, and you pull it out and push it in for what you want the prop to do. Now, ostensibly, it's only a 2-position prop, I think, but a lot of the pilots found that they could kind of stick it halfway. So I usually just fly with the constant speeds because it's easier for me to process. I don't have to juggle as many things at once. So we'll take that. Can't see what you're looking at? Ah, okay. So it doesn't grab that menu when it's... This is why I don't stream it more often. It is a pain. Basically, there was just a whole series of Hurricane variants and stuff that I could have picked from. What do you guys actually see then? I don't want to tab out in case it loses the hook. That's interesting, though. That's really interesting. pick a random serial number. Actually, that's probably too low for a Hurricane, but we'll go with it. See the plane options now? Yeah, there's like different menus are on different layers, and it's really weird. Like, this game is just a mindfuck the way it works. I think the new IL2s do something similar, because I've seen people have issues getting OBS to hook them as well. Yeah, we'll go with probably like 90% weathering, I guess. Convergence is fucked up. 200. You got to set it individually for each gun, which is a bit of a pain in the ass, but oh well. It is a handy feature that you can set it for individual guns. I just wish there was an overriding set for all guns box that I could use. Okay, that's all 8, set to 200. Right, here we go. Oh god, my track fire. Oh no. Oh no. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? There we go. Okay, that's... I think I must have bumped something on the numpad. That was not pleasant. Also, the Hurricane view is kind of a lot higher up than the Spitfires, so you can't see the instrument panel without looking down. Right, now that's sorted. Out of boost.
One by one.
They're under me? Where's my gun sight switch? It's there. There we go. Pick off the trailing guys here. Not him, he's too close. Now they do have forwards firing guns, but they tend not to use them against aircraft, so that could have been risky, but we're good. One of our guys has already run out of ammo. The AI tend to kind of expend it all in one long burst, like so, I guess. What is this guy made of? He's leaking a lot of stuff, but man. Probably should have come in from an angle. This is why I don't like just sitting directly on someone's tail. A lot of the time you don't actually get good hits on them. And as well as that, it makes them a harder target. I also got too close to my convergence there, to be honest. He is healing out of the formation though, so we might get the kill on him. That is a Hurricane there, I think. Or is that another Stuka? It's a Hurricane. Hitlerium structure, yeah, I know, right? They're very vulnerable targets, like, anything that flies and has a gun is a severe threat to a Stuka's well-being, but they are actually kind of robust. They're easy to hit, but they can be difficult to kill with these 303s. If I had a cannon, they'd be gone. I'd be deleting them, you know, by the dozen. We'll come up slightly underneath this next guy, I think. What are my revs sitting at? About 2750. It's really all we need. These things are not going to get away from us. They're very slow and very ponderous. I'll just take my time to catch them up here. He's had enough, he's gone home. Ah! Oh shit, are they actually attacking shipping? What are they doing? No? I guess it's just the AI being AI. Oh, that didn't look so healthy. He's still got his bombs on, but he's healed out of the formation, so we'll ignore him for now. Yeah, it was pretty clever, but a lot of the crews didn't really like him that much. Did slow the aircraft down a bit, and it lost its effect later in the war. It also is a great way to tell the enemy, hey, you're about to get attacked, you should probably take cover. Bit risky sitting on his tail like this, but he doesn't have great angles for his defensive gun. Come on. Okay, he's leaking something. And we're out of ammo.
Manuel, stop here. Unusual stop.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to trim this thing to fly straight and level, hands off, and then we're going to spectate some other aircraft, I think. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that, but we'll just... Okay, so there's my Hurricane. Let's have a look at some of these Stukas. Well, he's already gone for a swim. Two of them have. This guy sounds like he's losing engine power. Can't see any damage on him though. Maybe he's just decided he's eating out. Ooh. There goes some bombs. His engine's dying. He's already jettisoned his, or dropped them maybe. Oh, he's dropped his. There's not a lot of damage on them. They're pretty sturdy little fucking things. If I'd come in from above them, I'd probably have better success. In fact, what I might do is... what's the nearest airfield? I think the nearest one is the one that they were just bombing, which is going to be a bit awkward, but... I'll land this, if there is one near... Yep, right there. I'll land this and then I'll redo the mission, and we'll see if we can get better results attacking from above or below, or coming in at an angle at least. Because I think they're, like, we were hitting them, it's just that we were burying the bullets in armor and structure.
This is the commander. Stay on course.
Tumbled gyro. As you can see, I can actually look over the nose and stick my head out of the cockpit, unlike VCS. So the landing gear on the Hurricane is on the left there, and the flaps are on... Actually, no, it's on the right. I don't know. I'll figure it out. The flaps are on the right. We're a bit fast. Probably should have held that a little longer. The Hurricane is a much more stable aircraft. Slower but sturdier than the Spit. undercarriage wasn't down. Why not? If I'd realised that, I would have gone round. My flaps came down, though. Always check your undercarriage lights. Unlike me. So what do we got? That's your primer down there. Fuel cock. We should probably put that to off. There's your elevator trim, rudder trim, throttle, mixture. Where's the pitch on this thing? Where is the pitch? There. Okay, so that's the pitch unit. Oh yeah, here we go. Wheels is on the left, and then flaps. So you've got a single lever for both, which is kind of interesting. You've got to click a couple times to... See? There we go. It's not going to come down because we've stuffed it. Oh well. I mean, we didn't break the plane too badly, right? Let's have a look at some of these. See if the wingmen have got any damage in on them. Doesn't look like it. So we'll refly this.
One by one.
Well, I took a few hits there.
Mandrel, 5. That's the kill. Clean shot. Mandrel, 5.
Hey, Gnax.
Attention. Enemy
Get a bit of a perch above them here and dive in.
9. Aircraft.
We'll go for the straggler there.
Clear. 4. Hooker. 8. There, fire. We're done. Out in the spot. Until 6.5.
Now we're basically behind him again.
Blast. 170.
My wingmen are already running out of ammunition. We'll try coming up from under them this time. Still getting used to the sensitivity of the track IR in this game again, so it's a little hard to keep eyes on them. Oh! Oh, we've taken a hit. The armoured glass has a little crack there. Very small one. Right over in the corner. Got stuck underneath this for a minute.
I'm out of ammo.
A little power once again on them a bit. Might have heard the engine note go up a little bit there as the constant speed unit tried to catch up with the increase in throttle. Okay, here we go. Oh, that wasn't very effective at all. Like, this is the problem. The Stuka is so slow and so fucking ponderous. Not only can it not get out of its own way, but it's very hard to get on an angle other than directly astern because they're that fucking slow. Well, he's braking formation. Go over the top. Slot in behind this guy. Like, if they maneuvered at all, if they tried to maneuver defensively, I'd have better shots on them. It's easier to shoot fighters than these things, because fighters will give you full planform shots as they try and turn. Stukas won't. Oh, something just hit me. I might even want to actually set my convergence a little closer with how easy it is to get up behind these guys. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. That was embarrassing. But I'm sure that finally did have some effect on him. Am I going to pull my parachute anytime this week? Oh my god, do I have... No, I do have a parachute. How do I... There we go. Okay. Scared for a minute there. Oh. He is jettisoning his bombs, his engine's screwed. Oh, and he's missing a... Oh dear. He's not having a good day. Looks like a couple of them are going to get through. He's limping home. But yeah, this guy's gonna have to try and put down somewhere. See the attack coming up at them. The twin-engine bombers are legitimately actually easier targets. They can put up more of a fight because they have defensive guns. This has a single defensive gun. But the Stuka is so slow, it doesn't maneuver, and it's actually really quite sturdy. I'm surprised by that. In most sims I've played, these are the easiest thing to shoot down, and in this, they're actually quite difficult. Now, if I had cannons, it would be a different story. So, let's go exit. Well, 2 got shot down, 1 by me, and I had a part share in another. Let's see, let's go dogfight. Aerial battle, here we go, aerial battle. We will be in the Spitfire Mark 1. There we go. And we got 6 Hurricanes with us against 15 JU-88s and 8 109s. So this should be a bit of a mess. And I will very possibly get shot down by a 109 immediately. But then I can show you guys the damage modeling. Why can I not turn my gun sight on? Oh, because I'm clicking the wrong thing. That's my gun sight. And I think I accidentally just messed up my gun zeroing. So I clicked the wrong place. Oh shit! Those are 109s. Oops, wrong button.
Alert. 5. 3 stick to the right road.
Something down there below me. That's that 109 on my tail, I think.
Approximately 9 aircraft. Sector Edward 5. Number 88. 0.
Please tell me that's a Spitfire and that I don't have two 109s on me, because that would be really bad.
Approximately 7 aircraft. Sector Edward.
I really do wish the mirrors worked in this game.
Probably Leopard 6.
That's a Messerschmitt.
0. Altitude.
I think, no, that's a... Is that a Spit? I think that's a Spit.
Approximately 3 aircraft.
Aerial combat is very confusing. There's Hurricanes in this mix as well, and they do look like 109s from a distance. Oh shit.
0. Altitude.
So, there goes an overshoot from him. See the glinting off his cockpit? The spotting in this is so much better than DCS. I've got another 109 swooping in on me. At least one. Oh my god, there's fighters everywhere. Is that one behind me? I think it might be. I'm going to try and maneuver a little to make his life difficult. Oh. That's a 109 on a Hurricane. We'll try and help him out. I've got to be careful I don't run the engine too hot as well. Oh, a bit of a freeze there. Still not as bad as DCS. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on. There we go, he's leaking coolant and fuel. I think he's out of the fight. What are you? I can't tell. That's a spit off my nose. That's another 109 coming in on my tail. Pair of them, maybe? That's a spit behind me. Top one's a 109. Don't know what the bottom is. Oh, Jesus, fuck. My wing... Oh! Wow, okay. My wingman just killed himself to save me. Probably not deliberately. God, this is such a whirling mess. I don't know what's what, who's who, where the bombers have gone. Fuck knows where the bombers are right now. Who cares, frankly? What are you? You look like a 109. You are a 109. Don't know what he's behind. Tail's good. Yes, start turning. How's my engine temps? Oh, we're running a bit warm. So the thing nearest me there is a 109, I'm like 90% sure. The problem is I'm probably going to blow the engine trying to catch up to him. Unless he starts maneuvering or slows down. What's that? That's another 109 and he's turning in on me. I think. Yeah, he's turning in for me. Is he going away? He's going away. Still good. We're about 10,000 feet now. Can't really check the altimeter one, but up here. Looks like about 10,000. Okay, I got a Spitfire on me. That's good. I'm going to come off the power a bit. There's something down there. What are you? I can't tell. The colour says Spitfire. If it wasn't 109, it'd be grey. More Spits behind me. Okay, so my wingmen have formed up on me. Where have these mission Smiths gone? I've lost them. Shit. Oh shit. One minute they're here, the next they're gone.
Attention, enemy sector, Edward, 5. Altitude, 5.5. Bearing 0, range 5.
Didn't hear the range. Apparently.
120, range 1. Orders, bearing 60, range 1. Attention, enemy sector, Edward, 5, the commander, heavy on course, heavy, 120.
That's France, by the way.
Enemy
Just to get the point across about how close we are, that's France. That's Calais over there. And that's Dover. That port in the distance, just above my exhaust pipes, that's Dover. That's Folkestone right there. And that is Calais. And that little stretch of blue, the channel, is what has kept England safe for a very, very long time. It's not actually that much. We got something down there. Are those ships, or is that... Those are ships, I think. Just looking for specks and flashes of light, but I can't see anything. Oh, we are running very warm. And that's with the radiator flap all the way open. They might be on the other side of this cloud bank. How much of France is modelled? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. Decent amount by the looks of it. Normandy. All through Calais down towards... looks like you almost get a decent amount of the way down towards Paris. And then for England you've got all of Kent, as far west as, is that Portsmouth, I think? And then as far north as just a bit above London, just a bit north of the estuary. Shows the way to turn the radio volume. The fighters are returning to base, I think. They might.
Altitude.
They might all be heading for home by now.
Attention. Enemy group. Sector. Edward. 4. Safely heading to. Heavy.
Spotting is much better than DCS, but it won't help me if they're too far away. And unfortunately the ground controller is really fucking hard to hear. So I am not sure where the Germans have got to. Just trying to figure out what's dust on my monitor and what might be a spec. Turn my gun sight back off for the time being so I don't burn the bulb out. I gotta check my own fuel as well. We've got a bit. Yeah, the channel really is not that big when you think about it. Very moody bit of water though, so it can be quite unpleasant to cross. Believe me, ferry crossings were not very fun, especially in winter. I don't see anything. Well, in that whirling mess, all I can be sure of is that I damaged a 109 and one of my wingmen slammed into the guy behind me. So we can account for at least one certain and one possible for one loss, but there's probably more than that. We'll find out when the mission ends. We started as a formation of 6, so we are missing one. That'd be my number 2. Hey, Audie! Yeah, I do. I get that a lot, actually. But yeah, I mostly stream flight sims. I do a bit of other stuff too. Tarkov, Project Rally Squad, and Arma 3. I do want to start picking up some more single-player stuff as well at some point. I just need to make the time for it because I like to kind of really immerse myself in single-player stuff and get, you know, get a whole bunch of the story done at once. About 30 miles, I think it's 20 or 30, it's something like that. I'm going to guess that was a follow. My alerts are not working at the moment on my phone, but thank you very much. I've got one monitor, so I'm looking at my phone for chat and for alerts, and the Twitch mobile app can be a bit temperamental. Okay, so that's Dover there, with some ships in the harbour. And then we've got Deal in about my 1 o'clock. So let's see what we've got for options for landing here. Might go for Manston, probably. Manston or Ramsgate. I'll catch up on chat in a minute too. I'm just trying to make sure I don't fly into anything here. Not far enough north to go visit Silverstone. Yeah, I know. Actually, I'm kind of sad there's not more of the UK model because there was quite a significant number of raids into the Midlands, and one of the more successful engagements for the RAF took place during a 5-head German raid where they thought, if we send bombers from Norway, there's only so many Spitfires the RAF have and they're all in the south, so they won't have any fighters, and they found out actually yes they did. That raid did not go well for the Germans because their fighters didn't have the range to escort the bombers. So they pretty much got mauled and sent home in a very, very bad way.
Attention, enemy group, sector, ready, 4, altitude,
Hear about people swimming the channel every now and then, crazy people? I know, but at least it's not the North Sea. People who swim in the North Sea have some serious issues. I think I spent a grand total of about 10 seconds in it when I was a kid before I decided that was not for me.
Attention, enemy group sector ready for
Now, because I have no way of ordering my wingmen to land, and because the AI is a bit dumb, they are going to probably kill themselves when I'm trying to land here. There might be some way of telling them to land, I don't know. But I can't seem to find it. See, under navigation, I just have formation and spacing, I can't order them to land. I don't know why that is, but it's kind of a bit of an oversight, if you ask me. I just realised I've been in boost this whole time. Come back to about 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. Okay, there's the airfield. Lots of power. Please tell me that's not someone on the run. Oh my god, it is. Whoops-a-daisy. And kaboom. Ooh. He's so lucky. Okay, they're gonna start crashing now. That was a hurricane from the other flight. Wow! They actually survived that time. We didn't lose any of them. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, come on. Wow, I'm impressed. They're learning. Slowly. Okay. Brakes. Like I said, we're turning. We're moving quite, actually, significantly, even at full brakes. And with the engine cut back to idle. Oh, there we go. He's going to crash. Mission failed because the bombers got through. Kaboom. There goes one. One went in there, one went in there. Yeah. The AI in this are not very bright, sadly. It's one of the negative points about the game, is the AI is just dumb as hell. Okay, I don't know if there's a way to put a parking brake on, but as you can see, my Spitfire is moving. I think it's trying to weathercock itself into the wind, actually. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like it's doing. That stopped it.
Alert. Attention. Alert. Leader.
So it wasn't a very pretty landing, but it was a landing, and I'll take it. How windy is it? I don't know. I don't even know if I can spot a windsock around here. There might be one. Hello, windsock? Yes? No? Maybe? Doesn't look like there's much. Maybe a little bit based on the smoke, but not much. Here's a hurricane coming into land. Let's watch him. See, they can land really well when they want to. There's me. There's one of the other Hurricanes. He's taken a few hits. He's leaking fuel. And then... oh, he's parked in a hangar already. Jeez. Let's see how the Germans fare. There's a JU-88. Doesn't look like he's taken any hits. Yeah, I'd say the entire formation got through. That's why we got a mission failed. The 109s have started to make it home. See, they pretty much jumped us, shot down 1 or 2 people, and then ran because they just didn't have the fuel to hang around. Actually, it looks like most of them made it home too. So we may have only got one. Just get back from a strafing run on George Washington crossing the Delaware. I love all the photoshops that are coming out now. Like, somebody had one of an F-14 in the background in like that. It was a big painting of, you know, all the revolutionary soldiers and the generals and stuff standing around in a huddle, and somebody just photoshopped a Tomcat in behind it on the ground. Oh, it was great. And as you can see, same as before, prop pitch actually adjusts the prop pitch. So that's fully fine. That's fully coarse. And you can see how it takes a couple seconds for the prop to adjust. So that's why you risk overrunning the engine's RPM limits if you just ram the throttle forward suddenly. Let's try. Yeah, see, I got a 109 shot down. That was the guy I got on the tail of. And most of those Spitfire losses would have been my idiot wingmen trying to land. One of them was my wingman crashing into a 109. The Hurricanes were probably all shot down. Let's see if I can attack a welly. I think there's a mission where you play in a 109. This one, probably. No, those are Blenheims. There was one with a welly. It would be this one. Let's up that to 4 wellies. We'll go... actually, no, we'll make that 8 wellies. No Hurricanes, just because I want to showcase the damage model. Holy shit, how many fucking 109s do we want? Oh no, this is with... oh wow, okay. No, this is a really big mission file. Let's not do that. Let's... Just trying to think of how I should do this. This one's probably the best way to do it, so we'll get rid of the Spits. We'll go 6 wellies, because they're pretty big planes. Oh wow, this actually has bow fighters in it. I didn't even realize. I wonder if they're flyable. There's quite a few planes in this game. I don't know if you guys can see this menu because it probably isn't hooking the right window, but yeah, there's a lot of planes that you can fly in this. FW200, like maybe not, yeah, not all of these are flyable. So there's a little pilot icon on the ones that are. The Beaufighter sadly isn't flyable, which is a shame. BF-108 Trainer isn't. Blenheim isn't. Oh, some of the Blenheims are. Correction. The Blenheim 4 is, the Blenheim 1 isn't. Defiance not flyable. DO-17 isn't. The Heinkel 111 is. The 115 float plane isn't. The Stuka's not fly... oh, no, sorry, it is. Okay. I was going to say that's kind of weird. Oh, there's even Sunderlands in this. Those would be interesting to fly against. I am going to get rid of the 110s, and I'm just going to make it me and 2 wingmen. We'll fly an E4, 109 E4, I think. Now, I'm probably going to be a horrendous pilot in this thing, to be quite honest. Flyable Lank, no, the Lank wasn't in service this early. This is Battle of Britain, so the cutoff is pretty early. Alright, let me just catch up on chat. AI can land, but you can't give them the order for that. Yeah, it's really weird because IL-246, which had the exact same orders menu, you could tell them to land. I don't know why you can't in this. It might just be because they're quick missions, so it's not scripted properly. It's just basically, here you go, here's an air start right on top of some enemy, go shoot them down. I basically use these just as practice. I haven't really flown a campaign in this yet. I might do that on stream sometime, but not today. Check the undersides of Ju-88s. Some looked like they didn't drop ordnance. Yeah, so the German bombers behave like the German bombers actually did. If they get scared, they'll just ditch their bombs and run for home. A lot of the time, if they so much as see fighters, they'll just ditch their bombs and run for home. So some of them will drop their bombs. They'll jettison them if they take damage or if they get scared. Some of them will hold on to their bombs. It's a bit finicky. Like, the AI in this is really, really not very good, which is a shame. Photoshop a harm coming in on an old school cannon, please. Alright. Let's go. I forgot to set my ammo and everything. Oh well. Where is the gun sight switch? Where do I turn the gun sight on? Oh god. I lack the critical information, chat. Oh, there we go. I had to actually increase the... There we go. There we go. I had to click that a whole bunch. Where are the wellies? They're fucking massive. They shouldn't be hard to see. Ah, there they are. They're probably going to shred me with their defensive guns, but we'll see how we go. Hometown didn't get bombed very much, but the one bomb that was dropped was from a spook bomber. Good friend of the family grew up in Barking, and she had a couple bombers come real low basically up her backyard and stitch up the backyard with their defensive guns. My wingmen are very talkative. Go for the nearest welly. The recoil on the 20mm in this is pretty brutal. From underneath. Oop, I got a few hits in there, but he stitched me up pretty good. The welly is a really interesting thing to see the damage model on, actually, because it really shows the geodesic structure that made them so robust. Turned into a straggler now, so he'll be a bit of an easier target. You can see a big hole in his tail there, where we've blown the skinning right off. One in the wings, two behind an engine. See daylight through his wing. Jesus Christ. I'm just going to quickly spectate him to show you guys. Look at that. His gun is still shooting at me. I think he's had enough. Now we've got to try and figure out where the other ones went. Yeah, this one does. IL-2 1946, you had to change a line in the text file to get it to show them, but I think they removed that in a patch. So you used to be able to turn them back on, but I don't think you can anymore. I don't know if you can turn them on at all in this. Most people just use custom skins with them enabled, or like with them painted on. The new IL-2 games use the thing which is, you know, it's a swastika but with the central cross blanked out, so it's just the four arms. I've never really been a whole fan of that law. Like, I understand why it's in place, but it feels like, I don't know. If, like, I understand why they don't want people using it flippantly in, like, you know, really over-the-top fucking games, but in games that are historical simulators like this, I think it should be given an exception. I mean, maybe it is now. I don't know if they even still have that law in the books, but I think a simulator, or a game that at least treats the history with what it deserves, should get an exemption. And this is coming from someone whose family was on the receiving end. Like, I don't think it's a healthy habit to try and memory hole things like that, because this is how we end up with Nazis walking the streets. Here, like, there's Nazi propaganda posters in the car park next to my flat. I'm scared to go out at night because of that shit. And it's because people just water it down and act like, you know, oh, well, that can never happen again. It, you know, oh, it won't happen here, it can never happen again. It was just evil people. Like, evil is some magical, arcane thing that people are just born as. It's not something that anybody's capable of. I have no idea where these wellies have gone. How you lose sight of something the size of a Wellington, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I can understand the logic behind the law, but I don't think it's very well thought out. At the same time, I don't think anything's really gonna, like... Because a lot of the people that kind of push against it are actually, like... I don't think there's much likelihood of any real discourse being opened on it without Nazis saying, oh, we should be able to put swastikas on everything, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a symbol, right? And everyone else going, no, they should be totally banned, and anyone caught with them, you know, with games with them on should be fucking dragged out and... I don't know. I always kind of have been of the opinion that historical things, like either historical films that treat the history with the respect it deserves, or simulators that treat it with the respect it deserves, should be given special exemptions for shit like that. It's the same thing with bans on communist symbology in a lot of Eastern Europe. That shit only drives it underground anyway, so I don't really think it's constructive. Quite apart from my own political views, I really don't think any sort of ban on political symbology like that is constructive. I think it just hides what's there, you know, and makes it harder to actually pick it out and confront it when it does exist, because people just find some other symbol. I mean, look at all the issues now with people trying to figure out what and what isn't alt-right online symbology. I happen to be very good at picking up dog whistles, like really fucking good at it, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people haven't got a clue. And that's the problem. They just use something else and nobody knows. Where the fuck did these Wellingtons go? Let's cheat. Oh, well, he's in a paddock. That's the one that I shot down. They are almost back to England. They turned and ran for home. We'll see if we can catch them up, but I'm probably not going to have the fuel for it. Oh yeah, I'm not going to have the fuel for it, I don't think. They're most of the way back across the channel. What they usually had a specific copy of the game for Germany. Some games do. A lot of the Call of Duty games and stuff do, because Call of Duty likes to use like obnoxious amounts of ideological symbology. Like all the fucking Soviet levels in any Call of Duty game are just hammers and sickles everywhere. Like the Soviets did like their hammer and sickle, and they did like busts of Lenin, but not quite to the extent in Call of Duty. It's just like almost farcical. And they do the same thing with swastikas, and I think that's like honestly part of the reason why people don't seriously consider that kind of policy, or revising it, I should say. But that would fall under my category of games that don't treat the history with the appropriate respect. Yeah, I know, right? Fucking everything is a hate symbol in the right context. And it's really hard to pick up on it now too, because so many things are used as as dog whistles by the alt-right that a lot of it's stuff that people use. Like, this is the thing with Facebook shares too. For instance, I've had members of my family share statuses that are, you know, the like and share if you support our veterans, and then you look at the page where it came from. Oh, this originated from Britain First, a group of actual fucking fascists. But no one looks where it's coming from. They just like and share because I support my World War II vets. Meanwhile, the page it came from would have preferred the other side win. And things like emojis and stuff, like the fucking glass of milk or the OK hand thing. And then it turns into a witch hunt of, oh, well, anyone who uses the OK hand is obviously a crypto-fascist. Like, no, and that's not constructive either. You got to look at the context of these things. I feel like, I mean, this could just be me, but I feel like as someone who is literally almost at the top of a Nazi's kill list for about 5 different reasons, I have a really good sixth sense for when someone is actually a crypto-fascist. Like, I can pick up dog whistles like you would not believe. I was looking through this album of photos of an old Soviet nuclear submarine, which is laid up at, what's the name of the place? Can't remember the name of the port, it'll come back to me, but it's one of the main Northern Fleet submarine bases. And it's been sitting there for a while. I think it's basically in mothballs, and somebody had got into the conning tower between the pressure hull and the outer hull the Soviet subs were double-hulled. And on the outside of the pressure hull, I swear, I do not know how I spotted this so quick. Someone had carved a little swastika in the rust, and I just zeroed in on it like that. It's like some kind of magical self-preservation instinct. I can see a swastika from fucking miles away. I'd say those wellies are probably about landing now. No? Where are they? Okay. They're just coming over south of Deal. I should actually be able to spot them. They're right about there, I think. That's Dover over there. So they should be pretty much directly off my nose. I just want to show you guys like the damage model. That's why I'm chasing these guys all the way back over England. This is really stupid. Don't do this at home. I'm either going to run out of fuel or get shot down. I still can't see them, oddly enough. Okay, they are relatively high. Maybe that's why I can't see them, and they're a bit inland. Right, we're over Deal now. So I'm looking back towards where I am. These. Put some power on. I'm very nearly out of fuel. It's up there somewhere. Oh yeah, Max. You would not believe the number of people I've heard, well, not using, I guess, language from that, but the whole friend thing. A lot of people picked up on it without realizing that it was in use. I don't know if it came from there or if it got taken by it. This is the problem. No one knows anymore. If it's them coming up with something and then it going mainstream because people don't know, Pepe laugh, or if it's coming from mainstream and it's something they just pick up on and go, haha, we'll use this and bamboozle them. Because they do that a lot. It's a common strategy. They'll take something that's perfectly innocent and turn it into one of their dog whistles. Because then they know it'll cause people to flip out when they realise. And then go on a witch hunt of anyone that hasn't realised yet. It's pretty fucked up. It's clever, but it's fucked up. I still don't see these wellies. I don't know if I'm even going to catch them at this point. They're heading towards London. And my monitor is so dirty, oh my god. Well, I guess this is it. We're defecting to the English. I always wanted to fly a Spitfire anyway. They hate Canadian expats. I am very, very, well, I mean, on a political compass, I'm in the bottom left corner, and I'm also Jewish. So that's 2 counts. If I was gay, that'd be the 3rd count. And, a fairly decent part of my ancestry is from Eastern Europe, so I'm also a subhuman in that count. So that's like, what, 3 counts? Something like that. And poor, yeah, that too. and I actually can think for myself, so I'm a bit too free-minded, so that's... What are we up to? 5, yeah, like I said. How the fuck? Okay, oh, there they are, now I see them. How could I not... Look how huge they are! How did I not notice that? Alright, we've got maybe enough fuel for 1 or 2 passes here. I'm not Australian, I'm Canadian. I just have an Australian accent because I've lived here for so long. But I was born in Canada and then lived in the UK for about 3.5 years. Did not move here by choice, and I wish that we were still in England. I really miss it. Still better visibility than Tomcat? No, I wouldn't say so. Well, maybe forwards marginally, but overall the visibility in the 109 is quite bad, and it got worse and worse until about the late G, early K models. They finally learnt to kind of bulge the back of the canopy out. But the 109's visibility was always atrocious, and the Germans, for all their supposed engineering innovation, never thought to put a fucking rear view mirror on like the Spitfire and Hurricane had within a week of entering service. Go figure. A lot of the German aircraft had very, very bad visibility. I don't know if it was just because the Germans weren't very good at working with perspex or what. But, I mean, the 109 had very heavy canopy framing, and it was a very cramped, squared-off cockpit. Like, this is an awful cockpit. And I don't think I've ever heard a 109 pilot say they preferred the cockpit in this over the Spitfires if they've sat in one since the war. Even if they preferred the aircraft, the cockpit's just so bad. The 190 has a much better cockpit, the FW190, but the visibility forwards is quite poor because the windscreen is very squat. See those rounds air bursting around him, they are actually on a timed fuse. There goes a flap. We're out of cannon. Just don't let the enemy get on your tail. Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, we're out of cannon, down to machine guns, and then we'll find a nice farmer's field somewhere. On fumes now, down to 50 litres. I think that's toasted his engine. Got a nice big hole in his wing there. There's the other straggler. Recording quality back up to good levels on my new computer. Nice. Now you actually have to finish some videos though. So it's still an interception mission if you get the bombers as they're coming into land. The RAF used to do something like that with German night fighters. They'd send a mosquito sweep over before and after a bomber raid, and they try and get them on the way to intercept the bombers, and then as they were landing. The Germans fucking hated mosquitoes for that reason. Not just as bombers, but as night fighters, they were an absolute terror. There was nothing the Germans could do to stop them. They'd hang around the airfields just outside the range of the defence, and then harass anything that came into the landing pattern. Actually, it's really interesting reading about the electronic warfare in World War II. It's a really obscure and kind of underappreciated aspect of the war. A lot of things that we attribute to being Cold War technology came about during World War II. A lot of stuff. The later Mustangs had tail warning radars. You know, if someone was behind you, the radar would set a little warning light off. British night fighters could detect German night fighters' presence by their own, by passively picking up the Germans' radar. There he goes. The British also routinely jammed the fuck out of German radio navigation beacons. This is going to be my last pass. The engine's probably going to quit any second now. If I can even get close enough before it does. Don't know how much machine gun I've got left. Probably not much. We're over the estuary here. What are these tail gunners doing? Missing, apparently. He might already be going down, actually. It's hard to tell. She's no Spitfire, doesn't like abrupt turns like that, especially at low speed. He's got to be going down after that. Yep, down he goes. There goes my engine. Yep, engine dead. Right. Now we watch out for angry farmers with pitchforks. Not a bad landing, though. The grass is taking a while to render in. But yeah, not bad. Better get your speech for the home guard ready. Like an episode of Dad's Army. Oh, please, no, not Jonesy. Not the old cold steel. I don't like it up me. I want to do a battle of... Oh, here we go. I'll just catch up on chat now. When the house is empty, I can finish the last infra. I want to do a Battle of Normandy campaign, as I see a lot of people doing that right now. But I'll learn the new program I'm using, DaVinci Resolve. Ah. Right. Getting pretty hungry. So, what I might do is I might we'll switch games. So I'll probably at some point I'll probably actually stream the campaign from that. I haven't actually flown any campaign missions in it yet, but I will at some point. But for now, I'm going to be right back. I need some food. So I will just chuck this on. Not sure what I'll play next. Maybe some DCS because I hate myself. Hope you guys are enjoying the microwave ASMR. One of the things I do need to do is figure out what the deal with is for multiplayer for Cliffs of Dover, because I would like to do some multiplayer on that, but I don't know if anyone still plays it. So I've got to find that out. I think the server browser might be GameSpy based or something, which is why it doesn't come up with anything. I'll just have to figure out what's going on with that. Okay, let's change this to... So I don't know if I want to do DCS. When Jeff gets back, I might jump on Just Dogfight or something, but... What else have I got on here, actually? Let's have a look. I still haven't set up Battle of Stalingrad. I really need to get around to that, I just haven't done it yet. So then I can fly around in that. Yeah, we'll just do DCS for a bit. I'll figure out something to do in it. One of the other things I was actually considering getting back into as well is PlanetSide 2. I haven't played that for a long time. I'm hoping it's still alive because it was quite fun, shitty netcode aside. So I might have to have a bit of a poke around on it one of these days, and if it's still alive and well, I might do some PlanetSide streams as well. I don't think I've played that for at least about probably 3 or 4 years minimum. It's also really fucking cold in here again. bear with me a minute, guys. Make myself a cup of tea as well. Ah, no wonder it's so cold. I turned the heater off and forgot to turn it back on. Alright. Now we've got to get OBS to hook DCS, which it doesn't want to do. There we go. Took a while. So, I might just quickly wolf this down and then I'll get straight back into the flying. I'm a bit of a messy eater. My apologies. Might watch some replays actually while I eat. Just so I don't bore you guys completely to death. What have we got? I think this might be worth a watch. I think there was people playing when I flew this mission. This is on the Cold War server. I can't remember though. Or I could go with... Let's go with one of the Just Dogfight ones actually. One of the old ones. Hopefully the replay will work. So yeah, I really would like to see some damage models more like Cliffs of Dover's incorporated in DCS. It's hard to kind of show it off while you're flying, unless you get a crap shot out of you, but I did post some videos in my Discord, for which the link is in the description, and also the bot spams it now and then. I posted some videos in that showing the damage in more detail. It's really impressive. Like things like flaps coming loose and flapping in the breeze because the pressure's gone out of the system. It's really impressive. Meanwhile, in DCS, we have textures with little black dots on them to symbolize bullet holes and pieces just falling off. Jesus. Be interesting to see how badly affected the replays are by all the patch issues I've been having. It's taking a long time to load, so it's not real promising. Oh, here we go. Should probably pause my track dial. I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% certain how replays work because I don't really watch them very often. And I can't remember what the controls are to fast forward them and stuff. Although I'm looking at completely the wrong part of the map, aren't I? Because this is just dogfights, so I should be looking down here. I'll look up the controls as well while I'm at it. It's probably still loading. That's probably why it's taking so long to do anything. Left control Y is time accelerate. Left shift Y is time normal. Okay, let's try that. No idea if this is going to work. Oh, no, that's not the... Okay. Left control Y removes the bar down the bottom. Time accelerate. Left control Z. Right, there we go. It's only showing a few ground units, so I don't know why it's not showing any aircraft yet. I think I've been bamboozled. Okay, well, we're not watching replays then. We will scrap that one. So I'm just going to quickly finish eating, and then what I might do is I might mess around a bit more with the MiG-23 mod. So, let's see. MiG-23 UB. Russia. From ramp. Let's make it medium, but I'm going to remove most of the enemy units anyway. No wingmen, because they're bugged at the moment. You can't edit their loadout in the mission editor for whatever reason. and I can't actually tell him what loadout to get either. We'll put some ground units down. And it spawns me backwards in the hang. Oh, wait, no, am I right way around? Oh, I am. Good. Sometimes with this aircraft it spawns you backwards. Which is obviously not ideal, as you then can't get out. Actually have any countermeasure pods attached, so I'm just going to get rid of that, go to full fuel. I might actually get rid of that centerline fuel tank. So what I'm going to try and do is see if I can take this thing off without tail striking. Because I think the collision model on the tail is a bit bugged. I have to wait until I'm rearmed to start the engines. Because it is based on the Flaming Cliffs 3 modules, specifically the SU-25 avionics-wise, so... If I start the engines now, they won't arm me. The mirrors are also bugged, unfortunately. Alright, there we go. Get the engine running.
1. Лачуга. Разрешаю руление на полосу 1-5.
I'm not sure why the wings are fully out. I don't think there's a way to manually sweep them. At least it's not listed in the controls. Yeah, it's not listed. So unless it's under something else, which I don't think it is. Let's quickly have a look. I don't think there's a command for it. No, doesn't look like it. The ground handling on this thing is so bizarre. A lot of the mod aircraft seem to have weird ground handling. The Skyhawk does as well. Not quite as weird as this. Like, the MiG-23 wants to always pull left. Like, I've got the rudder neutral right now, and it's trying to pull left quite sharply. I don't know why that is. And it's got, like, no inertia through the turns. Like, as soon as you stop feeding in rudder input, it stops turning, like, immediately. I don't know why that is. It might be a friction thing with the wheels, but it's just really bizarre. It makes it a real pain to taxi this thing, unfortunately. I will say though, it does look quite nice. This skin is really well done. Okay, so now we're going to try and do a takeoff without tail striking, but also rotating at a reasonable speed. So this could go horribly wrong. But we'll try it. So, flaps out. Okay. Oh, we actually rotated. Still a bit fast though. Like, the takeoff speed for this thing seems like it's just a bit too quick. I feel like it should be rotating around 280 or so instead of 350. Let's get up above the clouds. Fuck, boy. Oops.
Over G, over G, over G.
Not a fan of the voice warning system. Firstly, it's in English. Second of all, I'm avionics, so it defaults to the SU-25's G limits, which are nowhere near the MiG-23's. Oh, there's a freeze. There's a big freeze. And this is why I haven't been playing DCS lately. It just runs like shit. See if we can find some American helicopters. There might be some A-10s around as well, I'm not sure. Now, being a trainer variant, we don't have a radar, so we're limited to heaters only. It's going to make it a little challenging to find a helicopter in this weather, but we'll try. This thing's really sensitive on trim. Again, that might be just a kind of hangover from the SU-25 code. It's only a fairly simple flight model, but that's understandable since this is basically a one-man mod at the moment. And there's a lot of stuff that's not really accessible to modders flight model-wise, which is why the Skyhawk's flight model's a bit sus as well. And I've actually just been hit by a really bad wave of tiredness, so I might just fly this around for a bit, and I might stream some dogfighting later. When I'm a bit more well-rested. So for those of you who arrived a bit later in the stream, I have been having a bit of a shitty few weeks, and it's knocked me around a bit, so I haven't been sleeping really well, which is why my schedule is all kinds of fucked up stream-wise. Can I get tone, please?
Radar
Apparently
failure.
not.
EOS failure. ACS failure.
Oh, now I get tone.
Radar failure. EOS failure. ACS failure. Radar failure.
So the damage model on this is very
failure.
interesting. It's telling me there's a radar
ACS
failure. I don't have a radar.
Radar failure.
I think that was a
EOS
Hellfire.
failure.
The Apache can actually do that. It can
failure.
hit you with Hellfires defensively. Especially the way I was approaching him head on like that.
Radar failure.
So that went kind of
EOS
sideways.
failure. ACS failure.
Oh, there's another one. Well, the ejection seat
Radar.
works. And we landed right next to a school. Alright, well that was a bit of an unmitigated failure. Oops. Might just do a couple quick flights in the Spitfire and this, so you can kind of compare and contrast how it behaves in DCS compared to how the Mark 1 behaves in Cliffs of Dover. And then I'll call it there, and I'll jump back on maybe in a couple of hours or so when I've got some rest, and we'll do some dogfighting if there's people on that are willing to do it. And if not, I might do more Cliffs of Dover, or I might finally set up IL2 and do that. So, let's see. We'll just do the instant action dogfight, because that's the minimum amount of setting up required. I really, really wish ED would get their act together and fix the game's performance so I could actually start playing it again regularly, but it's just too frustrating at the moment. So if you're wondering why I haven't been playing DCS for about a month, except occasionally getting on just Dogfight or doing 1v1 stuff with Tawny, this is why. It runs really badly now. It's something to do with the texture loading, but it's because I've got the game on a hard drive. I don't have an SSD large enough to put it on, so until I can afford one, I'm pretty much screwed. Either that or until ED undo the engine changes they made about a month ago. So, probably for the next few weeks at least, maybe for the foreseeable future, I might be doing more IL2 than DCS, which is a shame. I really enjoy this game. I really, really love playing it. There's a lot of aircraft in this that I can't get anywhere else, but you know, if it's unplayable, it's unplayable. Right, get myself all set up here, get my tracker recentered, and off we go. That's my wingman. There's the 190s, and there's the freeze. See, even in single player, like the most basic single player mission, I'm still having performance issues. I lost sight of him behind the canopy frame. There's 190. Now I can turn inside him fairly easily. I just got to be careful I don't black out or rip my wings, which is much easier to do than this than it is in IL2. Actually tempted to go back to just no curves on the Spitfire controls in this as well, because it does seem to work pretty well in Cliffs of Dover, so who knows, try it maybe. Not today though. armor. But see, his wing just, like, ceased to be on one side. The damage in this really leaves a lot to be desired. There's the other one. Going over the top. And the AI in this... Okay, so the AI in DCS is less likely to fly itself into the ground, but in terms of actual dogfighting, it's far worse than IL-2. Because all it does is just go into vertical loops. As soon as you're behind it, it just vertically loops forever. It does nothing else. It makes no real evasive attempts. It doesn't really try to get back on your tail. It just loops. So people who practice against AI in DCS, they're really obvious because they will do the same thing. When you get behind them, they just vertically loop. And if you do anything complex, they won't be able to follow you. So, if you want my advice for getting good at dogfighting in this game, don't practice against the AI, just fly against other players. It can be frustrating, but it's the only way you're going to get good. The AI will actually make you worse. I usually use it for testing things, if I'm going to use it at all. A couple hits there, but you can see there's not really good feedback on damage. I'm not seeing bits fall off his plane. I'm not seeing the damage on his aircraft. I'm just seeing sparks and occasional puffs of smoke, if that. The Spitfire in DCS has a much more pronounced tendency to drop a wing, and by more pronounced, I mean it has one. In IL-2, I've never really had Spitfires drop wings on me, ever. Whereas in DCS, it happens quite often. If I try and turn too violently, or, you know, I'm getting close to a stall, she'll drop a wing. Oh, wow, okay. I guess that blew his tail off. Bad you can't replace a gun sight bulb in this. You need to with how often it blows out. So I'm going to go land over there, I think. You can see what I was saying earlier about the Mark 9's armoured windscreen, how it's on the inside rather than the outside of the cockpit. So it's more streamlined from the exterior view, but you've got more chunky framing on the inside. Otherwise, the cockpit's very similar. You only have the single fuel gauge, which is for the bottom tank. There's no gauge for the top tank anymore. A couple other minor differences, but it's largely the same cockpit. You know, why change a formula that works, basically? Got a couple of extra things like the wobble pump up here for priming the fuel system, and then the fuel transfer switch down there for if you're carrying a slipper tank. Hey, Fez! Thanks for the resub, dude. Thank you very much. Hope all's going well with you. Should really do some more armor sometime. .345's looking to start going active again and getting more missions in, so when that happens, if you want to come along, just let me know. So I'm just going to land this thing and then go have a bit of a nap. I'm really tired, but I'll be back on probably, I don't know, a couple hours from now. Been streaming for just under 4 hours now. I was playing some clips of Dota earlier for the first time in a while. Oh, why? Why do you do this to me? No, she wants to turn right. Or turn left, rather. I don't know why, but she wants to loop. Well, it was messy, but I'm half asleep. Sue me. The ground handling in this is so much more difficult than in Isle 2. So much more difficult. Like, it'll ground loop in that too, but not nearly as easily. And this is with 50% takeoff assistance on to make up for my broken rudder pedals. And I'm still having trouble with it, so I don't know. I'll work it out one day, just not today. We actually damaged the wing, doesn't look like it. Nope. Just dogfight? Ah, Jeff. I need a nap. I'm tired as hell. I will be back on in a couple of hours though if you want to do some then. I need some sleep. I didn't get very much last night. Unacceptable. Dude, come on. I'm an old man now. I need my sleep. But yeah, I'll that's what coffee's for. No, I'm already loaded up to the eyeballs on caffeine. It's not helping. I'm still crashing, so yeah, probably I don't know, like evening your time, I should be back on. And yeah, then we can do some flying then if you're still keen. But for now, where should I send you guys? Let's see. Alright, I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.